There was once a dog who was very fond of eating eggs. He visited the hen house every day and gobbled up as many eggs as he could find. Nom, 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 nom. And then he'd scour the bushes and hedgerows and riverbanks for unguarded nests. And he'd eat the eggs in those too. Nom, 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 nom. In fact, he would swallow these eggs whole. He was a very greedy dog. One day, he found himself at the seaside, and in his quest for eggs, he made his way to the beach. As he passed a rock pool, he noticed what he thought was surely an egg. But it wasn't an egg, it was an oyster, and it made the dog very sick indeed. Oh, too late have I learned, he said, groaning and holding his belly, that not all round things are eggs. Act in haste, repent at leisure, and often in pain. That's Aesop. Welcome to Breakfast with Aesop. Now, I'm sorry that I missed you yesterday. I hope you've all behaved yourselves in the meantime. Perhaps you've read some fables of your own. And I meant to say, if you have any favourites that you'd like me to tell or retell, maybe favourites that you've already heard in this series, then please get in touch, because on Friday there'll be the grand season finale, and I'm open to requests. Also, in the comments below, please let me know who's watching, where you're watching, and how old you are. Now, some people did get in touch via the comments on Monday. I'd like to say hello to Rosa and Tess in Lancaster, Eddie and Verity in St Albans, and Seren and Freya in Kirkintilloch. I hope I pronounced that right. Now, Seren and Freya asked if I could do any tales about snakes and crocodiles. Well, I hope you'll be pleased to hear that I think I've found a good one that in fact combines both of those animals in one story, so tune in tomorrow. Now, Seren and Freya also said that they were enjoying the ancient Greek lessons, so let's crack on with today's. The ancient Greek word for dog, kuon. Kuon. Say it after me. 1, 2, 3. Kuon. Now, what sound does a kuon make? Well, it makes more or less the same sound as it does in English. Bow. Bow. Bow, bow. Go on, say it together. 1, 2, 3. Bow, 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 bow. There was once a pretty little dog who was much loved by his master. You might say that he was spoiled. He was always being fed titbits and treats, and he loved being cuddled and tickled and adored. The same master also owned an ass, and seeing how well this little dog was treated, the ass grew jealous. Why didn't he get cuddled and tickled? Where were his titbits and treats? And so he observed the little dog's behaviour, and he thought it wise to copy the things that the little dog did. Now, after several rehearsals, he launched his campaign, and one evening, when his master returned home from work, the ass began running around in circles, swishing his tail from side to side, braying as cutely as he could. And then he stood still and tilted his huge head to one side and let his great tongue flop out of his mouth. Well, the master found all this terribly funny, and he sat down to watch this absurd behaviour further. He was less amused when the ass picked up his favourite slippers in his mouth and brought them to him, too covered in slobber for him to wear. And his laughter turned to cries of panic when the animal stood up on its hind legs and began pounding his knees with his hooves. And he was screaming in downright pain when finally the foolish animal took a running leap and sat upon his lap. A servant heard the cries of his master and ran in to help him. and with the help of a stout oak cudgel, he taught the ass that not everybody is qualified to be a favourite pet. Now, Freya in Luxembourg requested a cat story. So let's hear something now of the dog's great rival, the cat. The Greek word for cat, by the way, is ailuros. Ailuros. And in fact, there's actually an English word, ailurophile, which means a cat lover. Are you an ailurophile? Now, I'm not particularly, I'm afraid. A great friendship existed between a cat and a sparrow. The bird had been given to Puss as a pet when she was a kitten, and they loved playing together. They'd often pretend to fight. The sparrow would fly into pretend rages and peck at the cat with his bill, while Puss would beat him off with only half-opened claws. And although this rough and tumble sometimes did get quite energetic, there was never anything but warmest affection between the two animals. One day, the bird made the acquaintance of another sparrow, and being both of them saucy fellows, they soon fell out and quarrelled in earnest. Now, the cat's friend was not used to serious fighting, and when, as they inevitably did, the two sparrows came to blows, he got much the worst of the encounter. With bruised beak and bloodied eye, he limped home to the cat and twittered loud and long about the bully who'd hurt him so. Well, the cat was outraged and stalked out to avenge her friend. Finding the scoundrel, she grabbed him in her paw, ripped him in two, and ate him up. Her friend, who'd been watching from a distance, hopped up. "Oh, thanks, Puss. That was really good of you." Puss? Puss was looking at him in a funny way, still swallowing his enemy. "I had no idea," she said, when she'd finished her mouthful, "that sparrows were so tasty." And she grabbed her friend and ate him also. Beware, true nature will out. Actually, it seems unfair to let a cat get the last word in an episode called Dogs. So here is an upsetting story about dogs as well. Some hungry puppies saw a number of hides, animal skins, at the bottom of a stream where they'd been left to soak to soften them up. Now, an animal hide makes an excellent meal for a hungry dog, but the water was deep and the little puppies couldn't reach the hides from where they sat on the bank. So they had a meeting and they decided that the best thing to do was to drink all the water out of the river so that they could reach the hides and eat their fill. So they fell to, lapping at the water as fast as they could. And of course, the stream got no shallower, but they carried on. And they drank, and they drank, and they drank, until one after another, they burst asunder. Do not try to do the impossible. I hope to see you tomorrow for wolves.